campus. Today I'll be describing the process of how to make a biological wet mount and view it under a microscope. So this process is used by many people in the medical field, like laboratory technologists and biologists, and so on. So basically, this process is to view structures of specimens to a larger view, so magnifying view. We use this to find out what domain or family a species is from, or to find out the structure of a cell, like cell wall, to see the nucleus, etc. So basically what I'm going to be doing today is making a wet mount. That's my first thing. And secondly, I'm going to actually view it under the microscope. So my first step of the process, so it's broken down into two processes, making it and viewing it. So the first part is actually making the wet mount. So the first thing you need to do is get a slide. So because I'm in a lab, I have all my stuff ready to go. So I have my slide. This one's kind of dirty. I'm not going to use that. So I have my slide, and then you get your specimen. So I'm going to be actually doing it on a onion root tip. So I get my specimen. So I just pick anything, and you can either take it off with tweezers or you can use your fingernails. So that's the way I like it better. So once you have that, you put it on your slide. You try not to get wrinkles or anything in it, because that you won't be able to see the cells very well. So you put that on there and try to flatten it out. Next, you need a drop of water. Because it's a wet mount, it has to be kind of moist. So you just add the water. 1 drop, 2 drops, fine. And many biologists or scientists like to use stains because it brings out the cell wall, the nucleus of certain specimens. So right now I'm using iodine stain. It's a yellow stain. It's going to help me see the cell wall, the onion root tip, the epidermis. And last for this part, you have a glass. Hold on now. So you have to put this on there on a 45-degree angle. So you put it on really slowly so that the air kind of seeps out of that. And then you have your wet mount. So again, you take your slide and you just lay that to the side. And you get your specimen, and you want to take just one piece of the onion, so onion epidermis. So you just tear that away. So you're left with the skin of it, and that's why you can see the cells on it. You lay that on your slide, trying to avoid any wrinkles. And now you take your water, you add a drop of water, or 2, depending on what you want. Your stain. And you take your cover slip, and you have to put it in a 45-degree angle. So try to avoid any air bubbles. Bring it into the water and let it drop down slowly. Now you don't want to push it down, it's just going to go down by itself. And now we have our wet mount, and we're ready to use the microscope. Okay, so there's a few different types of microscopes you can actually use to view things. But for specimens like that you want to see the cell, you have to use a compound microscope. So it's things you can't see with the naked eye. Now some other types of microscopes are called stereo microscopes and binocular dissecting microscopes. So these are used for things we can see, but we want to enlarge them so we can precisely dissect things. So first of all, I'm going to explain a few parts of the microscope that I'm going to be using. So these are the ocular lenses, so where you actually look into to see your specimen. Right here and here are your coarse focus and fine focus. So this brings up the stage to view your specimen. So the coarse focus brings it up quickly, and the fine focus just makes little adjustments. These turning pieces are the objective lenses. So you have one that you can view. It's low power, medium power, and high power, so it gives you different magnifications. And right here are the staged clips. They actually just keep them in place. Okay, so the first thing for the process is to plug the microscope in. That's what I'm going to do here. And turn it on so you want to have your light on. So that's the only way you're going to be able to see your specimen because the light's shining up through it. So I have that done there. Next, you're going to take your slide, so this is the wet mount that we made during our last process. And we slide that in there until you open up the stage clips and place it in there. So you can see, just by looking at your microscope, that it's in the light, so that you're gonna be able to see things once you look through. So next, you're gonna look through your optical lenses, and if you can't see them, it might be blurry. So that's when you use your coarse focus knob and your fine focus knobs to adjust the sight. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. It might take a few tries, and everybody's a bit different. Everybody can't see exactly the same way, so it's gonna be a little bit different for each person. So mine's pretty good there now. And if I want to see it at a higher power, so right now I can only see it at a low power, so I can see probably 30 or more cells across the whole lens. So this is called the field of view, so what you can actually see. So if I want to see less, I can just turn it to a medium power. So that's going to lessen what you see. And then high power, and then you actually have to use your fine focus and so you don't touch the coarse focus. You only use the fine focus once you've adjusted it on your lowest power. So once you have that done, you could do biological drawings, you can see the structure, you can see the nucleus, you can make observations about that, and that's basically the whole process. Okay, so again, for a closer look, first step, plug in your microscope and turn on the power for the light. Second, you're going to take your slide and put it on the stage and open the stage clips to make sure that it's in there. Okay, so now you can see your slide, so put it on your lowest power, and now you can actually look through your optical lenses and see if it's really blurry and see your cells. So it's pretty blurry right there now, so I'm going to use the coarse focus to adjust everything there. Okay, now I got a really good picture. So now if I want to move it to a higher power, I just turn the revolving nose piece. There we go. And now I see it at a medium power. So it's still a little bit blurry there now, so I'll use the fine focus knob to adjust it. Okay. Now this comes with practice. Usually takes a few minutes. Okay, so I have good there now. And again, just turn the revolving nose piece and you can see it at a higher power. So you can just turn off your microscope, remove your slide, and unplug your microscope, and you're done. So in conclusion, by using two small thin pieces of glass, water, and your specimen, you can make a ready-to-use wet mount slide. And you can view this by adjusting certain settings on the microscope, like your coarse focus, your fine focus, and your objective lenses. So this process may only take you up to 5 minutes, but what you'll learn you can use anywhere in any biological or science field.
You're a good soldier, choosing your battle. Pick yourself up and dust yourself off and back in the saddle. You're on the front line, everyone's watching. You know it's serious, we're getting closer, this isn't over. The pressure's on, you feel it, but you got it all, believe it. When you fall, get up, oh, oh, and if you fall, get up, eh, eh. Tamina, mina, sangalewa, 'cause this is Africa. Tamina, mina, eh, eh, waka, waka, eh, eh. Tamina, mina, sangalewa, this time for Africa.